Skul, the hero slayer. Let's do this shit. You play as Sans from Undertale. With a handful of helpful NPCs, you're out to save the Demon King. You got Meta Knight, Mommy Milkies, Sonic Fox, Ogre Magi, and the homeless guy down the street. Bless up, boys, we got a king to save. Shield potion. Nice. Gotta love Fortnite. You start each run by collecting all the freebies you can get from the NPCs you save and jumping off the Demon King's tower. Then, simply pick a door to enter. Sometimes you got one choice, if you're lucky, you got two. Now the basis of the game is simple. Smash, don't die, save the Demon King. But what gives this game that little bit of an edge over other roguelikes is that Skul has interchangeable movesets attached with what head he has equipped, and a plethora of items to boot. So what that means is by getting a combination of good passive items and powerful skulls, you'll be sitting on a big win. To start off, there's 3 types of skulls. Balance, a good mix of movement and killing power for every situation and every enemy you fight. Speed, emphasizing on a hit and run strategy to overwhelm your foes. And power, slow but heavy hitting attacks that will decimate any foe who dare stand in your path. Each skull type has a variety of choices, and not to mention, a singular skull has different skills every time you pick one up, keeping each attempt fresh and unique, repetition of playstyle being the least of your concerns. On the other side of the skull spectrum, we have items and inscriptions. Now all items you earn from finishing a door or buying them from the market have a base passive buff as its main perk. However, all items also come with inscriptions, which give secondary stacking buffs that can kick your skull to... Now I won't go into extreme detail in each individual item because that would take way too long, and Lord knows I have procrastinated long enough to make this video. The easiest method to explain the inscription mechanic is from the courage inscription. Basically, each of these displayed items have one level of courage inscription. That means having one of these items set your courage at level 1, having 2 items will set your courage at level 2, and so on. The higher your courage, the more physical damage you do, so at maximum courage level, your normal attack will do... Now the marrow of this bone cake would be quintessences. They are something similar to the god calls in Hades, where activating a quintessence will have a variety of effects based on what quintessence you have. All quintessences also have some passives for a little push and different effects on use. The stronger the quintessence, the more powerful the passive, and the longer the cooldown. But there are also items to reduce quintessence cooldown, so life ain't that bad. Now everything that I've talked about, the skulls, items, and quintessences have a tier list that follows a rarity system. Starting at the bottom with common, up to rare, followed by unique, and lastly and most possibly game-breaking, legendary. So my first clear of the game was handed to me by my boy JC himself. Hey, I pulled a legendary skull on my first door, a legendary quintessence on my first market checkpoint, and great items that work in such harmony that an orchestra would be jealous. So if you can't already tell, I'll spell it out real slow and real easy. Luck is the biggest factor. Onto the not so good parts of the game, which there are quite a few of. The biggest problem being just the uncontrollable chaos of luck. Sure, it feels amazing to have all the stars in the universe line up for that perfect run, where every foe is decimated by your hand, no goal out of reach, no destiny too far beyond the cosmos. No shit without toilet paper.
No toilet paper.
But boy, let me tell you about all the runs wasted by just bad luck. With so much randomness in the game, down to even what kind of door you choose, there leaves so much windows of opportunity for horrible mismatches in skulls, items, and quintessences. Now picture this. So you spend the first 15 minutes of your run culminating a magic damage run. You get lucky and the items you receive buff your magic, cooldowns, all that jazz. You hit hard and most enemies are just a walk in the park. You can mostly take that entire run and go as far as to the end of the game with it. Now, in another world, you spend the same 15 minutes going for an anything run, but every item, skull, and quintessence you receive are horribly mismatched. Example being a magical skull with physical buffs and hopelessly bad quintessences. With how deep you are in that run already, it's going to be hard, nigh impossible to salvage this operation. But you try even though you do close to no damage whatsoever. So you go, okay, I'm gonna try rolling the dice and hope for a good physical skull. Now if you manage to get a good physical skull to replace your original, or overhauling your entire inventory to fit whatever skull you have, that's great. All is right in the world. Now envision a universe where you didn't. 3 words. You are fucked! Luck is and always has been an inherent mechanic in both roguelike and roguelite games. However, when done to such an extent, the game becomes more of a punishment than entertainment. Now don't misunderstand, player skill is the main focus of the game, especially Skull. If you aren't able to reach the first mini-boss without getting loaded, it's a you problem, not the game. But there also does reach a point where if you don't get what you need, runs will die out incredibly fast.
God damn it!
This gets incredibly frustrating over time, and the lack of control over such factors does make the game a little more sour to the taste. A second criticism shared by myself and many a friend is the progression in this game, or lack thereof. The NPCs that you save that are supposed to help you in the castle provide little to no difference on the mechanics of the game. As the castle's NPCs are supposed to be the Demon King's generals, one would assume they would have some major role in helping your journey to saving the Demon King. Alright, let's break it down. Meta Knight's upgrades only do aesthetic changes to the castle, having zero effect on gameplay and instead just a resource dump to mimic progression. The upgrades provided by the witch are mostly minute buffs, only a handful of them are useful. Sonic Fox here gives you mostly common skulls. He also has a chance of providing rare skulls, but the chance is so pathetically low that you would have a better chance fighting good players in a Dota 2 match. Now Ogre Magi is the only NPC in the castle that has an effect on the game, providing you up to 2 items before you start a run, with varying levels of usefulness. Now Homeless McGee here gives you a variety of buffs, but at one fatal flaw. They expire! In exactly 5 minutes, the buffs expire. To put this into perspective, for all but the fastest speedrunners, these buffs barely last a fraction of a run. Now at this bare bones level, they barely affect gameplay. Now how do they affect the story? They don't. Save for the witch, whose only relation to the story is as a storytelling device, none of them matter, which is a damn shame. I mean, for God's sake, these things are supposed to be your generals in the Demon King's army. How are they supposedly important members of this council, yet contribute nothing to the plot of the story? The only important bit of story that comes up is at the very end of the game, where Skull is actually and that little twist in the end is honestly quite unexpected. But other than this single beat in the very end, there is nothing the story does that really hooks the player into the world of Skull. There is, however, one thing that does justice to Skull, and it's the music. This game has a fantastic soundtrack that really echoes what Skull and you are experiencing. The beginning area is calm and refreshing, a nice mix of piano and synth to give a player a view of a fresh journey and the boundless expanse of wildlife. The mini-boss theme swings in hard with a sweet and sharp bassline, and keeps that energy up throughout, warning the player that these rookie heroes are here to put an end to you and your journey, and it's up to you to make sure you end them first. I could go on and on about the music in this game, but I would only sound more wrong and more stupid. So just know that the music in this game is fantastic. Another fantastic thing about Skul are the developers. From the release of the game until whenever I upload this video, they release monthly updates. Some bug fixes here and some quality of life changes there. And every so often they release major patches that add new skulls, items, quintessences, maps, and challenges. I love it when a developer does not stop improving their game. Kinda why I love Final Fantasy XIV. It shows commitment and effort to their child and the community that they have created. There are still some quality of life changes needed, such as improving the usefulness of the Demon King's generals, easier management of inventory, or buffs that seem to do something. All that good stuff. But that's just me nitpicking. All in all, I do appreciate whatever the developers are doing, and I am looking forward to what they bring to Skul next. In summary, Skul is a great action roguelike game with good mechanics and an out-of-this-world soundtrack. It just requires a little bit of spit and polish, but thankfully it is in the hands of a passionate and caring developer. And that's about it for me. I got nothing else to say other than please try this game. Support these developers, they're really fucking good. Thanks for watching and have a safe journey. Hey, if you're still watching, I want to say thank you for taking the time to watch the video. The video took way too long to make due to my own procrastination as well as indecisiveness. Special thanks to Ethan for helping me out with the video. His channel will be in the description. He makes really good stuff, so please go take a look. And Dylan, who helped play the game with me and wrote a script with me. And to you, if you are somehow still here. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. Bye.